So yesterday I came across this post on YouTube, and I just screenshot it and I wanted to share it with you. And I thought it was very interesting. It says, General Mark Milley, American's top military officer and chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, reaffirmed the U.S. military is unwavering commitment to protect the Constitution from tyranny in the midst of a chaotic week at the Pentagon. Quote, we do not take an oath to a king or a queen, a tyrant or a dictator. We do not take an oath to an individual, Milley said as he stood alongside Acting Defense Chief Christopher Miller, whom Trump installed after he fired Defense Secretary Mark Esper earlier this week. Miller's selection was quickly followed by the installation of 3 additional Trump loyalists in the Pentagon, raising national anxieties around the possibility that the president will continue to ignore the 2020 election result and resist a peaceful transition of power. Then I went to some of the comment sections, which were, I like to go. I didn't copy all of the thing. How do you call this? All of the comments, but I just went through some. Okay, patriotism is when you stand by your country, not the president. Theodore Roosevelt. Okay, now you know why the oath included the line against all enemy, foreign and domestic. That's right. I should go. If I see it again, if I come across that, I'll click more into it. But this is a screenshot. After America chose Obama, the Republicans lost their minds. Trump somewhere in the White House going to see this and say fake news. Okay, let's see what's next. Okay, I didn't really copy too much of the comment. Okay, that's the most comforting thing I've seen all day. Okay, that he even had to put out a statement, and especially the wording is so damning and embarrassing. They know what Trump is and what he's trying. All right, so I thought I'd share that with you. If I come across it again, I'll put more. I'll screenshot some of the comments. All right, so that's it. So I did come across the video of the general talking about that. And after I watched the video, one of the things that came to mind is the mental aspect of things. For some reason, I was thinking, what do you think this person is thinking? Because Trump put him there. You have no idea what his action is going to be. If he's really going to follow the Constitution or if it's just words being spewed out just to ease the mind and do the damages that Trump really wants. So this came to mind. So here's the video of the general talking about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the 20th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark A. Milley.
As the 40th Chief said, what a great day for the United States Army to be celebrating the opening of this museum. And as there are thousands of hands that put this together, I want to say particular thanks to Acting Secretary Chris Miller for being here today. Thank you, sir. Tracy, you're here somewhere, but thank you so much for what you've done pulling it all together. And of course, General Sullivan, who we just saw on the screen. He was a chief in our early years when we were lieutenants and captains, and chief, you're still our chief. You were a great chief then, you're a great chief now, and thank you so much for your inspiration and your vision to bring this all to fruition. And of course, thanks also on the passing of General Hartzog, another great general officer in the United States Army. Thanks, Sergeant Major Grinston, for your leadership in putting all this together. And I do want to thank Sergeant Akinola for being the Soldier of the Year. We'll see him in a few minutes, but thanks for being a great example of all that is good about being a soldier. To all of you, thank you, and to all of those of you who are watching, thank you so much for participating in today's events. Today is Veterans Day, and on the 11th day, the 11th month of the 11th hour, in 1918, the war to end all wars came to an end. It was the final day of 47 brutal days of fighting in the Meuse-Argonne, stopping today only because of the armistice that was declared to end the Great War. That offensive was the largest battle in U.S. history. with 1.2 million Americans fighting and dying, and 26,000 of them paid the ultimate sacrifice in only 47 days. And it was made much worse by a global pandemic, the Spanish flu. We cannot truly appreciate the sacrifice of our soldiers from the Continental Army to today, or comprehend what they went through, unless we see the weapons they use, feel the uniforms they wear, hear the stories they told, or read the letters they wrote. You and I will never fight through the haze and the mustard gas of the Meuse-Argonne. We're not going to hear the whiz and the snap of Wehrmacht rounds while assaulting the last 100 yards of Omaha Beach. And no, we're not going to suffer the blistering cold of the Chosin Reservoir or smell the smoke of the Idrang Valley. But we can come here. We can see the relics and hear the stories through the eyes and the voices of the individual soldiers who endured so much for the cause of freedom and their unrelenting devotion to the Constitution of the United States, the moral North Star for all of us in uniform. It is that document that gives purpose to our service. It is that document that gives purpose to this museum. And we in uniform are willing to die to pass it on to the next generation. In it are the ideas and the values that make up this experiment called the United States of America. And the motto of the United States Army for over 200 years, since 14 June 1775, the motto has been, "This we will defend." And the "this" refers to the Constitution and to protect the liberty of the American people. You see, we are unique among armies. We are unique among militaries. We do not take an oath to a king or a queen, a tyrant or a dictator. We do not take an oath to an individual. No, we do not take an oath to a country, a tribe, or a religion. We take an oath to the Constitution. And every soldier that is represented in this museum, every sailor, airman, Marine, Coast Guardsman, each of us will protect and defend that document regardless of personal price. That has been true across generations that are on display in this building, in this great museum, and allows all of us to connect and be forever tied to those who came before us. We will never turn our back on our duty to protect and defend the idea that is America, the Constitution of the United States, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Back when our Army was first formed, only 18 months later, Thomas Paine wrote some famous words in an essay entitled "The Crisis." And he wrote, "These are the times that try men's souls, and the summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will in this crisis shrink from the service of their country. But he who stands by it deserves the love of man and women. For tyranny, like hell, is not easily conquered." And from 1775 till today, the United States Army has stood there, has stood on the wall, stood in the breach, and defended the liberty of Americans. Thank you. Happy Veterans Day. May God bless the United States Army, and may God bless America.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So I've edited the first two parts of this video a while back, but I came back to it. I never posted because there's something that triggers my attention. The difference between reading the transcript and actually watching the video of the general speaking. It just gives me a different vibe. I don't know why. Because when you don't know what's going on in somebody's mind, it could be very triggering. And one of the things that I was thinking about later on was that, okay, will this general be actually following the rule of law? Will he pretty much stood by what he's saying? And a couple things came to mind as I was thinking about this. I thought about James Comey, who at the beginning of Trump's administration, there were some issues where Trump was somewhat implying, he didn't say it, but he was implying for Comey to somewhat lie for him. But
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please be seated. The American people need to hear your side of the story, just as they need to hear the president's descriptions of events.
But first, I want the American people to know this truth. The FBI is honest, the FBI is strong, and the FBI is and always will be independent.
What was it about that meeting that led you to determine that you needed to start putting down a written record?
A combination of things. I think the circumstances, the subject matter, and the person I was interacting with. Circumstances first, I was alone with the President of the United States, or the President-elect, soon to be President. The subject matter, I was talking about matters that touch on the FBI's core responsibility and that relate to the President-elect personally. And then the nature of the person. I was honestly concerned that he might lie about the nature of our meeting. The administration then chose to defame me, and more importantly, the FBI, by saying that the organization was in disarray, that it was poorly led, that the workforce had lost confidence in its leader. Those were lies, plain and simple.
Let me begin with one overarching question. Why do you believe you were fired?
I guess I don't know for sure. I believe I take the president at his word that I was fired because of the Russia investigation. Something about the way I was conducting it, the president felt created pressure on him that he wanted to relieve.
I hope, this is the president speaking, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Now, those are his exact words. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you wrote them here and you put them in quotes?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that. He did not direct you to let it go.
Not in his words, no.
He did not order you to let it go.
Again, those words are not an order.
No.
Did you show copies of your memos to anyone outside of the Department of Justice?
Yes. I asked a friend of mine to share the content of the memo with a reporter. Didn't do it myself for a variety of reasons, but I asked him to because I thought that might prompt the appointment of a special counsel. And so I asked a close friend of mine to do it.
You know, it's hard to proving when someone is implying something instead of actually saying it. And the other thing, what came out of this for me was that is this the same kind of tactic that Trump sort of used with the general? Not even utter the word to, to protect him or something like that, but implying to protect him. I don't know if I'm making sense. Even, what's this guy that went to prison for him? What's his name? I think it's Michael Cohen, where he said sometimes Trump doesn't even need to say certain things. He's just implying it. So he has that kind of demeanor of him where you should know what he's thinking about, some sort of things like that.
To the fallout now from the sentencing of Michael Cohen, the president's former lawyer and fixer, heading to prison for 3 years. And in an emotional statement to the court, he apologized for covering up Trump's dirty deeds. Our senior White House correspondent Cecilia Vega has the story. Good morning, Cecilia.
George, good morning to you. This is the man who famously said he would take a bullet for President Trump. Now he says of those crimes that he committed, he did it all for his former boss. This morning, President Trump is breaking his silence, tweeting about his longtime fixer and personal lawyer, saying, "I never directed Michael Cohen to break the law. He is a lawyer and he is supposed to know the law." In his emotional apology to the court, Cohen pointed directly at President Trump, saying, "It was my own weakness and a blind loyalty to this man that led me to choose a path of darkness over light. Time and time again," Cohen said, "I felt it was my duty to cover up for his dirty deeds." Cohen sentenced to 3 years in prison for what a federal judge called a veritable smorgasbord of fraudulent conduct. Prosecutors say Cohen acted in coordination with Trump when, in the lead up to the 2016 presidential election, he arranged hush money to porn star Stormy Daniels and playmate Karen McDougal to keep them quiet about alleged affairs. In court, Cohen took full responsibility for his crimes, quote, the personal ones and those involving the President of the United States. And just hours after that sentencing, another bombshell. The U.S. Attorney's Office announced a cooperation agreement with AMI, the company that publishes the National Enquirer. Prosecutors say just 2 months after Trump announced he was running for president, he met with Enquirer CEO and publisher David Pecker and Michael Cohen. And according to just-released court documents, Pecker offered to help deal with negative stories about the presidential candidate's relationships with women. And he did. And according to those documents, it was at the direction of one or more members of the Trump campaign in order to influence the election. Now, Cohen will be housed in a medium security prison outside, not too far from New York City. This is the prison where he requested to serve out that 3-year sentence. He starts that sentence on March 6th, George. He also has to pay nearly $2 million in fines.
That's right. And he says he will continue to cooperate with prosecutors. Okay, Cecilia, thanks very much.
So, yeah, we are at a crossroad right now where people will have to make a very tough decision. You know, even though democracy have shown Biden has won fair and square, we are at a position where people who are in power until the transition happen, where are they going to make the choice? Because Trump is leading everybody into a direction that somewhat will destroy democracy. And he is someone, Trump, who is very well documented. He has not served in the military. He had like 2 or 3 deferment when it was time for him to do it. So he will push anybody in front of him to do all the dirty work, but he will not be the one to do it himself. So, and there's countless of incidents, examples that have happened where Trump use people and then throw them under the bus. So anyone with any well-minded, their head was screwed properly, will have to make a wise decision. Because if wrong is done, it will, even though at the moment you might get victory of whatever it is that you do, if it's wrong, eventually it will turn back to the way God wanted it to be. So yeah, that's what I thought about it. Obviously, this is my opinion. I'm just saying what I thought between reading the script and after watching the general speak. So this came to mind. And we have seen generals, I think at the beginning of Trump's presidency, who was disciplining, the armies, the kids. I forgot how they called them, but something had happened where one of the generals was really giving a piece of his mind about race relation and discipline in the army and stuff like that. If I come across it, I'll put it. But if you haven't paying attention to any of this, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may have heard that some people down in the prep school wrote some racial slurs on some message boards. If you haven't heard that, I wanted you to hear it from me. If you're outraged by those words, then you're in the right place. That kind of behavior has no place at the prep school, it has no place at USAFA, and it has no place in the United States Air Force. You should be outraged not only as an airman, but as a human being. And I'll tell you that the appropriate response for horrible language and horrible ideas, the appropriate response is a better idea. So that's why I'm here. That's why all these people are up here on the staff tower. So let me have everybody who's up here, please pull forward to the rails. Also, there are so many people here, they're lining the outsides along the windows. These are members of the faculty, coaching staff, AOCs, AMTs, from the airfield, from my staff, from my headquarters. All aspects of the 10th Air Base Wing, all aspects that make up USAFA and the United States Air Force Academy. Leadership is here. You heard from Brigadier General Goodwin. Brigadier General Armacost is here. Colonel Block from the Athletic Department is here. Mr. Knowlton is in Washington, D.C. right now. That's why they're here. That's why we're all here, because we have a better idea. Some of you may think that that happened down in the prep school and doesn't apply to us. I would be naive, and we would all be naive to think that everything is perfect here. We would be naive to think that we shouldn't discuss this topic. We would also be tone deaf not to think about the backdrop of what's going on in our country. Things like Charlottesville and Ferguson, the protests in the NFL. That's why we have a better idea. One of those ideas, the dean brought people together to discuss Charlottesville. Because what we should have is a civil discourse and talk about these issues. That's a better idea. We received outstanding feedback from that session at Charlottesville. But I also have a better idea, and it's about our diversity. And it's the power of the diversity, the power of the 4,000 of you and all of the people that are on the staff tower and lining the glass, the power of us as a diverse group. The power that we come from all walks of life, that we come from all parts of this country, that we come from all races, we come from all backgrounds, gender, all makeup, all upbringing. The power of that diversity comes together and makes us that much more powerful. That's a much better idea than small thinking and horrible ideas. We have an opportunity here, 5,500 people in this room, to think about what we are as an institution. This is our institution, and no one can take away our values. No one can write on a board and question our values. No one can take that away from us. So just in case you're unclear on where I stand on this topic, I'm going to leave you with my most important thought today. If you can't treat someone with dignity and respect, then you need to get out. If you can't treat someone from another gender, whether that's a man or a woman, with dignity and respect, then you need to get out. If you demean someone in any way, then you need to get out. And if you can't treat someone from another race or a different color skin with dignity and respect, then you need to get out. Reach for your phones. I'm serious. Reach for your phones. Okay, you don't have to reach for your phones. I'm going to give you an opportunity to reach for your phones. Grab your phones. I want you to videotape this so that you have it, so that you can use it. So that we all have the moral courage together. All of us on the staff tower, lining the glass, all of us in this room. This is our institution. And if you need it, and you need my words, then you keep these words. And you use them, and you remember them, and you share them, and you talk about them. If you can't treat someone with dignity and respect, then get out.
So yeah, please take a moment to subscribe, like, and share. Thanks for watching.